Hey guys, Brendan from TAT. Just want to have a quick talk today about adhesives and sealants. So head to any workshop around Australia or the world and you'll probably find, just like ours, there's going to be some kind of JB Weld product in an open packet, and you'll remember maybe even the last time that it got you out of a sticky situation. So much more than a she'll be right type repair. Their epoxies and adhesives have been relied upon for a long time from mechanics all around. You start looking online and there's quite a lot of guys playing around with it that have got independent videos on YouTube. One I saw there was a steel rod that had broken. They'd used the flagship JB Weld epoxy. They'd put it back together and it was holding a 50 kilogram weight after it had gone through the full setting time on that. So you're talking pretty serious duty stuff. There are obviously quicker set products and you are going to lose a little bit of the strength in that, but still far beyond a lot of what the other competitors are getting. So we've all been there and we've used them, we know a lot about them. What doesn't get shone on a lot is the silicon range that they've got. So we've been using for quite a while all around the vehicle. They're RTV silicons. So RTV standing for room temperature vulcanizing, meaning that it sets in the presence of oxygen. What makes them a bit different to some others, so their range of silicons is 100% silicon, so they don't put any fillers in there, which can bring the costs down for others. So 100% silicon. They are a USA based company, so all done in-house. Their research, development, quality control, packaging, everything done there in US, and it also means that they don't run into supply chain issues, which I've been facing with various other products, as I'm sure that you have. Something that a lot of people don't know about RTV silicon, particularly while we're in this supply shortage of a lot of parts, is they can completely replace your gaskets that you would buy. So let's say you had to get a tappet cover gasket that was on intergalactic back order. You're not going to get it that month. We need the vehicle to get going and we want a long-lasting repair still. You can use RTV silicon. We would run a fairly thick bead compared to some of the other ones that we're going to talk about in your day-to-day. So you'd run a fairly thick bead, similar looking to the tappet cover gasket you're going to put in. Then would let it cure for quite some time before you actually set it in. So basically just putting it on finger tight so that you're allowing it to cure for at least over an hour to form a reasonable sort of even beyond a skin on the silicon itself. And then you're going to have something that mimics a gasket itself, so it can stand alone for a gasket that you can't get, or is extremely expensive, and this provides a really good option. Now, where we use it most of the time day to day is when you've got silicon joins on a vehicle already from OE, which is becoming more and more common. So when we run through the range here, obviously the red high temp sort of speaks for itself. That's for your sustained high temperatures, where we're going to be talking exhaust mainly. When we say grey for your high torque, high rigid applications, what's meant by that is something like a machine-to-machine face. So we're going to have fairly close spaced bolt patterns. This thing's going to torque up quite hard, and we're going to favour the grey in that application. The black, which is your maximum oil resistance, it's more favoured towards, say, this pressed timing cover. So a little bit more flex in the black, which this is obviously going to flex a little bit more than that cast part there. And this would be the ideal place that I'd be using my black. Now, we've all used various colour silicons in various places, and I've got no doubt that if you were to use the black on there and that's your favoured one, it's going to do a great job on this anyway. But we may as well go through what they are made for. So other things that make the JB Weld silicon the one that we choose, because you'll find that a lot of people will say, okay, this brand or this brand, and a lot of the time it's just because, okay, maybe they had one that leaked when they were using that brand. A lot of the time, a leak from a silicon gasket is going to be just like painting because of the preparation. So, a lot of silicons out there, and it's worth really thinking about why you're choosing the one that you want. So things that I like about the JB Weld If you do have to take something apart, which it happens, or it may be for later on and you're doing a repair in the same area that you have to take that off, it's not one of those ones that's going to be absolutely stuck like concrete. So, a good example is this Ford Ranger timing cover. We always buy a new timing cover when we're doing these because the OE sealant, which happens to leak terribly, it sticks like concrete, and you've got a very high chance of bending that cover when taking it off. Now the JB Weld stuff, it still seals very well, but it doesn't set like a concrete, so it still has a bit of flexibility and give to it while it's still sealing, so you can get stuff off. It also makes cleanup a lot easier as well if you're having to go and do something in that area, so that's a big plus. Storage is also obviously a big plus, so we tend to find that you can leave this for months on end in an open packet and you can still go back there and you can grab it and it's still going to work for you. So while we're talking about silicons, we have to talk about application. So we've got these couple of parts here. I'm going to go and we'll talk about the way to ideally apply your silicon.
So we've got this housing here that I'm going to be using the Ultimate Black on. I've chosen that because we've only got these 2 bolt holes, so I'm expecting a little bit of flex, as opposed to let's say a sump where we've got lots of closely spaced even bolt holes that are going to be holding it nice and rigid. This has only got the 2 mounting points there. I'm going to use this little twister on the bottom there that you can pick up anywhere off eBay. I quite like them just to give a little bit more control. So anyone who has been doing this for a while knows that less is more. So we're just going to run ourselves a quick bead. So we don't really need any more than that, particularly on a machined surface like this. It's going to squeeze down, it's going to be okay. So main things, don't go in there and try and smush it out. Some guys like to spread it around. Leave it to now get a skin. So we want it to get tack free. So I'm going to leave it there for a good, in my climate in Queensland here where it's quite warm, 2 to 5 minutes. You'll tend to find that you can come over, and when we start to touch that, it's going to have a skin on there, and that's the point where I want to then be bolting these together. So I've been sitting for a little bit now. When I touch that, we're starting to get tack free, so I got hardly anything on my skin there. So I'll probably leave that another minute or 2 just so it's forming a skin on the outside there, and obviously when we're doing this there's no need to touch it. You start to realize how long is long enough. With this, so I also just like to leave a bead coming out the end there, and it stores quite well. This, as I said, you can come back in quite some time, and this is going to cure in the presence of oxygen, and what's left there, quite often you'll just pull that off the end there and we're good to go again. So like I said, less is more, and we don't want to be smushing it around. You just want to run a bead and let it go tack free.
So I hope that clears up a few things relating to silicon itself and the other uses that we've got for it around the vehicle. Make sure you check out the full range of the JB Weld stuff, because the last time that I actually went and checked, it's amazing the various products that they've got there. I thought, okay, sure, metal, plastic, things to do with fuel, but when you start to look through it, if there's a problem, they've likely got a solution for it. And definitely have a go of the RTV silicons for yourself, and I think you'll find that they work extremely well, and you'll end up having a bit of a stockpile there, and it'll end up being your go-to silicon. Thanks, guys.